All right, welcome everybody. Everybody wants to come in a little bit closer so we don't have to yell. These mics aren't for speaker, it's just to record. We got cameras going just so we can put it up on social media and share with everybody else. We don't have to re-record it again, but welcome to White Lightning Harley-Davidson. This is our second seminar of 3. Some of y'all have been here for the first one, and some of you have been with us last year as well too, and some of y'all are brand new fresh and learning the bike as we all are. It's a brand new platform for a lot of us. You know, a lot of us haven't come from the adventure segment, and we need to learn, and we're learning as we go. Sometimes hearing it from someone else that's been through it like we have, and we're still learning as we go as well too, but still, I've changed bags several times. I've changed this, that, and the other, and we kind of want to break that down and help you with your journey as well too, and show you your options that we carry here at White Lightning Harley-Davidson. So we've got some special guests with us today. Again, my name's Sean. I'm the general manager here at White Lightning. We do and lead the Pan America segment here. We do our monthly rides. We have our training, adventure training, our seminars, and our whole staff here is fully engaged with the Pan America as well too. So whether you're riding it on the road full time, you're hitting both, or you're sticking strictly with dirt, whichever way you want to go, we're here to cater to you and keep your bike running. I've got Scotty. She's one of our top sales ladies on the sales floor out there, very educated. She's going to break down the modes for you. A lot of the questions we get asked is, all right, we're heading to the trail. We're all getting our new gear on and getting out there. What mode do I get? What do I do? And we haven't been through that yet. And we've all been there. I was there too. So we're here to go over that and give you a breakdown. And that's just something you got to mess with. With the modes, you're going to grow with the bike. And that's what's cool about these bikes. And that's what's helped me in this segment with the adaptive ride height. Because when I started out, I had the bike completely different with the mode going all the way down, my seat in the lowest position, and I've grown with the bike. And the next step was I raised the seat up. And then after that, now I've got my suspension fully locked out. And that's because I've been able to grow and progress with the bike. And that's what I think makes this bike so great, with getting people into this sport as well too. So Scotty's gonna go over some modes with y'all. When we do that here in a second, we can come around this black bike over here so you guys can kind of see what she's doing. There is a lot in this, so what we're covering, there's a lot more, and that's what we're here to help with questions. So feel free to ask questions as we're rolling through it. After that, we've got Field here. He's going to go over some medic stuff with us. We've got some guys in the crowd that I just met that have some medical experience as well too. So again, this is all for input, y'all. So if you got a question, raise your hand or holler out so we hear you, so we can answer that as we go. So Scotty, if you want to start breaking down some modes for us. If you guys all want to kind of come over here a little bit closer.
The screen's fairly small, so if you guys want to get all close, we don't bite. So I'm sure people who have been on the Pan America, you are familiar with the many different ride modes, 7 specifically, that are available on the Road Glide the Pan America Special. They are visible right up here, and as we know, the Pan America is the only ADV bike that you do not have to stop or turn off in any way to immediately flip through these modes. So if we go into our settings, the second option will be ride customization. Of course, if we go into ride modes, we have the option to turn them on and off. As you ride the bike more, you will figure out what you use, what you don't use, what you need, and what you don't feel like flipping through every time you're on the bike. So the one we're going to focus on mainly is off-road, off-road plus, and of course our custom modes for when we get more comfortable with the bike and we want to alter it to how we ride specifically.
So what's the differences between off-road and custom off-road?
So off-road,
right, before you change them, what's the differences?
Yeah. So off-road mode is going to be mid-range power, and the torque is going to be altered tailored more towards off-road. So it's going to alter the power delivery and traction control, everything for when you're off the road on dirt, the bike's going to perform better and you're going to be a little bit more comfortable, especially if you do have the adaptive suspension.
So the two, just so I want to point out, the two between off-road and custom off-road is before you go in and mess with custom, those are the same. Okay, so there's no differences between, just custom allows you to customize it. So you can go in and she's going to break that down for you, but you can fully customize it. When we're doing our training and we're a beginner rider, we put you in the regular off-road mode, because then it has some safety features in it that are gonna help benefit you until you, like I said, are able to grow with the bike. Some of us that have been from full send KTM days, you might jump straight into the custom mode and start tweaking around with some of the stuff that we're gonna go over.
Cool. So Off-Road Plus, that's what we have for, like Sean was saying, the more experienced rider. This is what I like to call party mode because it kills your front and rear wheel lift mitigation. It's going to kill ABS to the rear tire. It allows you to get full throttle response and full engine power in an off-road environment. So if you're looking to slide around and it's something that you're really comfortable doing, Off-Road Plus is definitely one for you. It is also the only ride mode that you do have to stop the bike to put it into the Plus, because they want to make sure you know what you're doing. So Custom A and Custom B, you have two different options that you can choose here. And of course the Custom and Off-Road. If we hit right on the D-pad, it brings up a menu and it gives you the option to copy from another ride mode or create your own entirely. If you go up on the D-pad, it is going to bring up all of the standard ride modes that the Pan America offers. And it allows you to pick from those settings and then go into individual menus and change certain things. But for the sake of this presentation, I'm just going to completely create my own. So engine mapping, it changes the power delivery. So if I go into here, it gives you your sport, road, off-road, and rain. So power delivery on this, of course it sets it to off-road because we're in custom off-road. That's going to give you mid-range power. Rain is going to give you the lowest amount of power. Road is going to be just a hair more than off-road, but it's not too much of a difference, more for on-road use. And then sport, which is full power from that engine. Engine braking, you can have max, +1, base, -1, and of course the minimal. Engine braking, pretty self-explanatory. I know Sean runs his at max. It does help during downhill descents. Throttle response is going to alter how the throttle feels in the hand of the rider. So if you have that at max, when you crank that throttle, you're going to feel that power delivery depending on what you have chosen. Traction control, rain, road, or sport. Rain, your traction control, ABS, and TCS are going to be at their highest intervention. Road is going to give you mid-range, and sport, your traction control is at a lower setting. Anti-lock braking, again, rain, road, and off-road. So rain is going to have your anti-lock pretty high. Road is standard, and off-road is pretty low, but not at its lowest, like in Off-Road Plus. Your suspension dampening, if you want to play around with this, now because this bike has auto suspension, it has it set in off-road soft. That's going to be the most comfortable for the rider off-road. But if you want it a little bit more stiff, you can go in sport. That's not going to give you as much movement, or balanced and comfortable, which are things that you can play with off-road to see what works best for you. And then of course,
real quick, go back. This is suspension. That's also where if you're, again, you've come from dirt bikes or something, you're trying to loft the front end up, you're going to play with that suspension because you're going to want it to be soft where you can compress and be able to loft it up. Some guys like running them full stiff. I know a lot of guys that I run with keep it in full stiff, and that's how they do it and are able to get the maneuvers made. And that's really just a personal preference with the suspension.
And the last one we get to play with is adaptive ride height. So like Sean was saying, when he first started riding, he kept his at a lower point, which you can lock it at its lowest. You can keep it on auto. But there are short delays and long delays. So you can have a short delay, which is immediately when you stop, this bike is going to lower. Long delay, which is when you stop, it'll wait and then lower, or you can lock it at its height. And that helps. The more you get comfortable with it, the easier it'll be to ride this bike in full height. And the same with Custom A and Custom B. You can change everything from engine mapping, engine braking, throttle response, traction control, etc. But this one does not have these standard modes that are in off-road. So it's not going to start you off as off-road settings. It'll start you off just complete blank, pick what you want, and build from there. So
for me to cut in there again, so I didn't start using this until recently, and I had a customer actually bring it to my attention that he was running Custom A, and I asked him what he copied, what he did, and why. He copied sport mode, and he said the only thing he didn't like in sport mode was how twitchy the throttle was. So when he was in the apex of a curve and he hit it and he wasn't already in the throttle, he felt like the ass was going to slide out from him, which I felt the same thing too. And he said he dumbed it down by 1. I went in and did the same thing, and it totally changed that whole mode for me. So that's what those are there for. If you like a mode, if there's one that you like, let's say you like regular road mode, but you want to bump something up on it, make your custom, and then you can go in there and fully tweak it the way she just showed you within that mode. So you can copy it. It asks you, which mode. She's going to show you which mode you want to copy over. Do the sport mode for them.
Yep, so if I do choose to copy from another mode, it brings this menu here. I can shuffle through them, and if I choose to have sport transfer over to custom A, it is now transferred, and I can go into my throttle response, and it's at base right now, but I want it at -1. I'll press the center of the D-pad to enter that, and then you're saved. So now whenever I go into my home screen and I'm riding around, that custom A is going to be sport mode with a -1 on my throttle response. And that will be every time until you go in and change it. So turning the bike on and off, riding it every day, these ride modes are going to save. And every time you flip through, it's going to be exactly what you want and how you want to ride. So that's the great thing about these bikes, is you can make them fit you. Do you guys have any questions?
Yes, on the engine braking, so that's not an on-the-fly adjustment. Like there's not a button that you can do that on the fly.
No.
So like you all of a sudden come to a downhill, you just got to.
Unless you have that built in that mode. You know, like I have on my custom off-road mode, because that's how I like to ride when we're off-road. I have my engine braking at full max in that mode. And that is on the fly, if I wanted to kick it between modes. But like when I hit the dirt, Tracy, I hit the dirt, I'm in custom off-road plus with the rear ABS off.
All right.
But no, there are some models I think you can be dumbing that or messing with that as you go, right? Do you know?
Not mine. Mine, I've got the Jordan, and it's mainly just can adjust traction control.
Okay.
If you're in Explorer mode, you can adjust traction control on the fly.
And we can turn
You
ours
can
on
do that.
and off, but you have to stop. The bike has to come to a stop to be able to turn that off.
Do you
So-
ever find a disadvantage, like if you're, I mean, if you're going uphill and you're not on the throttle, is it engine braking up the hill?
No,
No.
no. Not that I can feel or tell. It's not working against me going up a hill. It's working against me when I'm needing it going downhill.
Cool.
So the ride height, you only can adjust that in a custom mode, right? You can't adjust that.
Correct. So in each of the ride modes, if that's something that you constantly want to have at a short delay, you want it to automatically lower in every mode, you can go in and change that through every different ride mode, but it's not going to automatically do it. So it's a little tedious, but you can edit that. So every ride mode that's already set as well, they're going to have their own settings, of course, but you can adjust that ride height. So if I go into my settings,
And that's a safety feature, so it's not across the board. You know what I'm saying? So because I've talked to the engineers behind this, that this is all safety. It's just like the Off-Road Plus, where it shuts off the rear ABS. It's a safety feature. So if you kill the bike, let's say you go over and it falls over, or you turn the bike off, it goes back to the regular off-road mode. You have to hold that button to make it turn purple to go into the Plus mode. It's like on the BMWs. You look at the stuff where we've studied a lot on. They have the same thing. They have something they can, I think, plug in underneath the seat or something that's like a full send, type thing that literally says like you're avoiding any safety feature on this bike type thing. Ours you have to just hold the button for a second.
and it does let you know, so as you can see, I'm in off-road mode right now. Because this bike is at a complete stop, I can hold down this mode button. It will turn purple. It has a plus sign. It glows, and of course all of these lights up here let you know that your rear ABS is off. Your traction control and your ABS are at a very low intervention. Your front and rear brake linkage, they're no longer linked. These two brakes are working on separate times. And
But your ABS is still on.
yes, correct.
On the front, I'm sorry.
Only on the front.
On the front.
On the rear, it's party mode.
Yeah, you're dragging a rear tire going down a hill if that's what you're trying to achieve.
Okay. Any further questions?
There's a lot in there to tweak, guys. I mean, I've
There's
literally,
quite a
my
bit to this
custom
bike.
mode, I remember last time I needed to bump my throttle up or I needed to dumb it down or whatever I do, and I go there and mess with it, and I go out and ride that trail and evaluate how that benefited me or I didn't like it, and I'll tweak it again. So I've literally just got mine probably dialed in where I'm happy with it. So it's something to sit there and mess with and play with. But we do get that question a lot. Hey, I'm hitting the road. What do I do? And I'll come up to a guy to help him. We're halfway down the trail. We've been riding for 3 hours. It's like, dude, you've been riding in sport mode this whole time. Like, good for you, but it's a little dangerous. Let's kick it in off-road mode. You might enjoy it a little bit better.
So if you're in off-road plus, you have to purposely
Hold it down.
hold it down.
Yep.
If the light turns off, turns over, or whatever, it goes back to off-road.
Yeah, so we're in off-road plus right now.
Right.
Okay, so I turn the bike off. It should turn off. We go back on, it's gonna be brown now. So it's gonna be in just your regular off-road mode.
It's still going to be an off-road mode.
Okay, but something I wanna show you that I've learned, because I keep mine in off-road plus and I get aggravated with that, is, okay, I'm in off-road, now I'm in plus. I come up to a stop and now maybe we're gonna wait for a group of folks to catch up with us or whatever. I pull up, I turn it off, and I turn it back on to where it killed the motor. My lights stay on, and now I'm sitting here waiting. Oh, there they are. Okay, cool, I hit my start and I go. You see what I'm saying? Instead of sitting here having it off, waiting for it to have to regenerate, turn it back on, waiting to have to regenerate, have to hold it. You see what I'm saying? It cuts that time back on having to wait. Make sense? Because now that we've had all these updates on our bikes, the battery dying isn't an issue. You know, 21, when they first came out, you're sitting there worried you're going to drain your battery.
Forums where people are letting it go through its sequence before cranking.
Yeah.
Because it was messing up the electronics or the battery or something.
Yeah, and we don't have that issue anymore. They've resolved all that with all the updates and the starter clutches and stuff that we had to do in the 21s, 22 and up have been corrected on all that. So then we haven't had updates in a long time. So it's not like anyone here should be behind on anything.
What I tell with all of my customers who I sell a Pan America to, there's a lot, this is a beast of a bike. There's a lot going on in here, but I always try to make sure to go over the ride modes thoroughly, let them know, of course it's all in their manual, but just a rough outline of what each of them do. And I'm like, I know you probably don't have any questions right now, but you probably will. So it's one of those things that you learn by riding it, by playing with it, by figuring out what works best for you and what you're comfortable with. And if you do have any further questions or if you want to know in detail, I'm pretty much always out on the sales floor to answer those kinds of things. So. And
this is why we offer the rides. We all get out as a group and we've got these questions as we're running through it. Normally, I learn as I do, actually doing it. So for me, watching this and reading a manual, sometimes I don't catch on to it until I actually get out there and start messing. Oh, okay, that makes sense now, it clicks. So that's why we offer the rides.
Good deal.
Awesome.
Right. I'm going to introduce Field. He is a medic for the United States Army and a EMT for the Nashville Fire Department. He's going to teach us about some of the things you might need, hopefully not, but if you need to know them while you're out in the field, he will teach you.
We'll keep it simple. We'll make it real simple. So who here is fire service? Exactly. So y'all went through a simple TCCC class unless you were a medic, right? That's basically all we're doing. Because what happens? You're out and about. Your bike falls over. You hit a branch or a tree falls down. You're trying to get over top of it. It's simple stuff that you don't think about, and then all of a sudden, oh well, now my leg's broke. What do I do now? Because I mean, it's simple as that. I don't do adventure bike. I don't have the money to get into it yet. So I talked to Sean and I watch all the videos that they put on and see all these classes that they put on. So it's a really good thing that they have going. And I'm appreciative that they let me come and do this once a year and come and talk to y'all and see all y'all. But there's a couple of simple, easy things to keep with you that you can get off of Amazon. So almost everybody has Amazon, right, nowadays? I know Sean keeps a med roll with him, right?
Yep.
Keep a med roll in your bag. Does everybody else keep anything with them? Medical supplies? What do you keep?
Keep a trauma kit.
A little trauma kit? Right. Right. Does anybody else keep stuff like that? Something simple? So literally, two simple things. Tourniquet, everybody knows that. Does everybody know how this works? Simple, easy. Turn it until it hurts, and then turn it again. Yeah. So does anybody know where to place these if they're bleeding? So my guys, my vets do, right? So it's 2 inches above. It's 2 inches above the wound. So if you hit an artery here, you're gonna literally put it here. But you can't put it on a joint, right? Or if it's your leg, you can't put it on your knee. But you want it 2 inches above the wound, so just put it above their knee. You're gonna twist until it hurts, and then twist again. They're gonna be screaming, but they're not gonna bleed out, right? Simple, easy, stuff like that. I don't know what all comes in y'all's trauma, what all y'all have specifically in y'all's trauma bags. I would keep a tourniquet, a an ace bandage, a couple ace bandages, and some gauze. And you can get all that at Walgreens. You can get that at Walmart, any player that sells stuff like that. Or get on Amazon and order you a trauma kit. So I ride.
Field. I don't know if
Oh,
you-
look at that, perfect.
it's off Amazon.
Look, yeah, so that's perfect. So I ride street bikes and also have friends that do dumb stuff. So I have made a trauma bag for every last one of my friends, and it's not for me, it's for them. But look at that. Some gauze. These are actually really handy, a splint. It's got some meds in there. Trauma shears, tourniquet, Sharpie. I mean, he's got all, oh, and that's some good stuff in this little pouch.
Yeah.
Yeah, a blanket. So, like I said, my vets in here, they know the two things that kill people when they're out and about is hypovolemia, which is you bleed out, and hypothermia. So even in the summertime, when you're fixing them, cover them back up, because with all the sweat and what's going on in your body, you get cold real fast. So even in the summertime, make sure that if there's one of your friends is hurt, cover them back up. Put your jacket back on top of them. Put their jacket back on top of them. Make sure if you got to cut their pants leg, make sure you just wrap it back up. Some of the stuff, I don't know, Sean, have y'all encountered anything like crazy while y'all been riding?
No,
Nothing
thank
yet?
goodness. No, I mean,
Nothing
we've had
yet?
a few little boo-boos here and there.
Knock on wood somewhere?
Nothing
Yeah.
that we've...
But the only thing I could really think of, I mean, honestly, it's going to be your legs more than it is going to be anything. Unless y'all are just blazing through somewhere and just happen to catch a branch, which would, in a shoulder or something. But from the bikes falling over or trying to go up the hill or, the bike flips back on you or whatever, most of the time all I can think is going to be your leg. Some other simple stuff, keep some Tylenol, keep some ibuprofen. And I take blood pressure meds, right? So, and you don't know who else is out there with you. I mean, a heart attack's a real thing. So, and you keep a GPS with you, right?
Yeah, I'll go over all that.
And then, right.
Yeah. So like this right here, we've all talked about the Garmin stuff, but we carry the Garmin here.
Right.
This is the InReach.
Yep.
So this is where I can communicate when I'm out on the trail. It has an SOS button on it that you hit, and it'll send out a signal. It goes to all the local fire stations, all that stuff.
Local
and they let you know. It
responders,
lets you know
right.
when they've received it and that someone is on their way. And I think they say it's within 2 hours you'll have someone there wherever you're at. Even if it needs a helicopter, it goes over all that breakdown on the Garmin site.
Well,
I carry that so I can communicate with my wife, with people here at work, but also if there were an accident, boom, we hit a button, we got someone coming.
So that's just things because what's up?
Yeah, the new Apple Watch.
Oh, does it have the SOS?
It has the SOS and automatically calls not only fire, police, but it also calls your emergency contacts.
Oh, that's
nice.
pretty impressive.
I had a friend of mine, he just got in a pretty severe wreck, and when he hit, it automatically started calling. And
Wow.
he had no idea why people were showing up so fast, and it was because his Apple Watch called.
Technology is pretty impressive
So
nowadays.
I think that was,
yeah.
and it does not use signal, it's strictly satellite.
Well, that's good. See, I didn't know that. I don't have an Apple Watch, obviously. I don't even have a watch. I wear a watch. I only wear a watch when I'm at drill because the Army wants me to, So that's about it. I have a Garmin watch. I think, is that a Garmin watch or is that just a regular watch? So I've got one that's kind of like that, but it's got GPS, but does yours have GPS and stuff like that on there? Oh, okay. All right. Well, I've got a Garmin watch that I can't communicate with it, but I can find where I'm at, so that doesn't do me really good, does it? But make sure you have a way to contact anybody. And I like to go ride by myself, but if I was doing this, I'm not going to go by myself because you go down and you're just sitting there and you don't have a way to communicate. Well, hopefully someone comes down this trail in the next, day or 7. But just remember, you want to keep Tylenol, ibuprofen, in case you need it. Someone hurts their ankle, you have it. When it comes to trauma stuff, that's a whole nother ball game. Break an ankle, break a leg, break an arm, someone's unconscious. I mean, what do we do then? Obviously, we need to call 911, but I'll keep it simple for you. If there's bleeding, stop it. You can use a tourniquet. If it's a whole lot of bleeding, only on the limbs. But if it's something here, you want to do something with a pressure bandage, right? So that's when that's why you have your, you can get these. These are trauma dressings. You can get these offline, and I think I don't think yours had one of these. But he had the gauze, and he had that Curlex in there. This works the same way as that. This one's just what the Army issues us. Well, this and the fire department. But you can do the same thing with this that you can with a pair of ace bandages and just some gauze. So wherever's hurt, you're literally just gonna put pressure on there and wrap this around. You're gonna do the same thing with the ace bandage. The only thing with an ace bandage is, remember, if you rest down on it, you can cut the circulation off. So let's try not to do that, especially if it's up here. We're not gonna wrap it around their neck and completely just, then they're done, right? Some other good stuff to have. He has those splints in there, which is actually really, really nice to keep stuff rigid. Does everybody have, you have a saw, right? Like a little hand saw? Mm-hmm. So if you absolutely have to, if something's broke, literally, you can use a branch and to keep it rigid. No. Just don't cover the wound. If there's an exposed wound, just don't cover it, because we still need to see that. You need to make sure it's bleeding. If it's still bleeding, we need to stop the bleed, correct? So he keeps a little saw on him. Another thing that I found works really, really good, anybody done plumbing before? You know those ratcheting PVC cutters they cut up to like 2.5 inch? Keep one of those in there, because you'd be surprised if someone's got a branch or something in there, instead of getting that saw and hearing them scream the whole time, you can literally take that ratcheting cutter and cut a branch. I actually had to do, I did a drill one time, and luckily the maintenance was there and they had their pipe cutter in there. So a guy was running through the woods and ended up with a branch in his leg, and that's what we did. We just cut it off with one of those pipe cutters.
Another good thing that I found is duct tape. I carry duct tape in my tool roll that I'm going to show, but we didn't have a medic kit with us, but we had duct tape. The guy had cut his arm going past the branch pretty good, to where we cut part of his shirt, wrapped it, duct taped it around, and
100%.
we were good to go. With duct tape,
always
will fix
keep that.
a lot of things.
Duct tape will fix everything, and if someone says that it won't, they're wrong.
But a lot of people have in my head, how the heck am I going to carry a duct tape roll, right? One thing I've learned is just get a card and wrap the duct tape around the card. And I have that in my medic kit or my tool kit.
I took my old YMCA card that I had. I even used this overseas, and I probably wrapped, 20 foot of duct tape around this card, and I just kept it in a pouch. And it's literally about this thick and about that wide, and you can stick it in your pocket if you had to. And you got 20 foot of duct tape. 20 foot of duct tape gets you a long ways, because you can split it in half and do whatever you need to. So stop the bleeding. Keep them immobile if you have to. If they're unconscious, keep them warm. Make sure they're breathing. You can literally get down in their face. You can hear them breathe. If you got to, put your finger underneath those. You can feel that. You can feel the breath on your cheek, and literally watch their chest, because every time you breathe, their chest rise and fall. Right? Make sure that that's what's happening too, and then keep them warm. That's the main thing. Is even in the summertime, keep people warm. They're still gonna be. If it's bad like that, keep them warm. And always have a way to communicate out. Go with a friend, go with a group. Just make sure you always have a way to communicate out. There's not much more to that. I could do this for a week and a half and show y'all exactly how to do this, but it's hard. But just keep the simple things with you. Also, when I was talking about the aspirin, don't give it to them if they are injured, because it thins your blood, and then you just bleed out more. But if someone is having a heart attack, 3 baby aspirin, tell them to chew it. Don't let them drink the water. Tell them to chew it, and call 911 if you can. Or if someone's hurt, someone get on their bike. If you got a group, and go get them where they got signal and call 911. And try to keep a GPS with you, because if you give them the location, they can fly a helicopter there. Or someone will show up in a Ranger, and the fire department's gonna think they're all cool.
If you're on a Garmin, just put your finger right there. It drops a point where you're at, to where you can go back and give them the coordinates, and you're good to go. So just all stuff that we don't think about the first time we go out. Hopefully we don't ever have to think about it.
Hopefully not.
And he's here. He comes every year to help us out. In no way is this a full safety meeting, as we all just heard. Just our disclosure on that.
We're just trying to give you guys some tools and resources. I would absolutely love to sit here and give y'all a full medic course. I love this stuff. It's fun. Well, honestly, I don't really like it. I'm just good at it. We'll just say that. But it is fun. And I want y'all to stay safe. You know, I'd like to see y'all's faces again next year. I'd hate for someone to come in and, you know, if you're missing a finger, that's okay, but I don't want to see y'all missing an arm. I mean, let's just be real. I mean, count 10, end up with 10, right?
Awesome. Thank
So-
you, Field.
No, thank y'all.
Does anybody have any questions?
No, I got a suggestion. It's one of the things that we carry is, and people think it's ridiculous, but it's actually great. Tampons. Because tampons they're very absorbent, but they can be opened.
You can spread them open and
spread
absorb
open,
them.
but they're compact.
Yeah.
I wouldn't suggest putting them in.
Don't stick them in.
No,
Don't stick them in. Don't stick them in holes. Don't stick
Don't stick them
tampons
in
in holes.
holes.
Nope. That's not what those are for.
Yeah.
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 Now, hey, a tampon for a nosebleed, you can do that. But the best thing to do for a nosebleed is go like this.
Yeah.
Just let it drain. You're just gonna go like this. Don't go like that, because then all the blood goes down your throat. So if you got a nosebleed, just go like this, and it'll stop. Unless you're on blood thinners, then it might not stop. Both nostrils, just, all right, let's go. Yeah, if you're on blood thinners, also that's another thing too. If you're on blood thinners and you're going on these trips, make sure somebody knows. Hey man, I've got a heart condition, or because I tell everybody, like, I'm on blood pressure and cholesterol medicine. Man, I could stroke out, who knows? But while you're doing it, your adrenaline's gonna be going, you're gonna be having fun, you're not gonna be paying attention to what's really going on, and then, you wake up in a hospital or a helicopter.
Well, he brought up a medical bracelet. It's smart, but also,
Yes.
like, if you buy a climb jacket, they issue a card that you go online and put in if you were on whatever you're on.
Yep.
And it lists it all on there.
That's a good, yeah,
which is
that's
good
a good
to
thing.
carry.
Medical bracelet, or just make sure your friends know. I mean, it's if you're going with a group, just make sure, like, hey man, I have a problem clotting, or I'm a hemophiliac, or anything that you could bleed out on. It's a good thing. That's a good thing to know, right? Especially if we're out, in the woods and y'all are going way out. I don't know.
Doing this.
Yeah, I don't know how far out y'all go. Y'all go out far enough you don't have signal on your cell
yeah.
phone.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I mean, I do that on a street bike. So, but
Yep.
well, if y'all don't have any questions, I'm gonna let the man with the plan right here, Sean. Y'all
All
gonna
right.
go over some stuff.
Thank you, Field.
Hey, thank y'all for letting me
Thank
come
you
out.
very much. All right, let's all come back over on this side or around the bike, on my bike. So a few things that I want to go over now is, I mean, this will take some time, so I just, grab a drink, would do whatever you want to do. We have found that we have needed to plug a tire. So this isn't the wheel that I run, this is just another wheel that we had back here that I put one of our knobbies on, my old knobbie on, and drove a screw into. So you sit there and say, well, that's easy enough, Sean, we can plug a tire. Yeah, you probably can. When the 21s first came out, we all know, or if you didn't, we had issues with the battery staying charged, so we had to overcome some of those obstacles. And what I did was I put a battery tender on the front of the bike. So I'm actually going to plug this tire, or show you actually just what I need to do it. We've got a screw in the tire. Like I said, I put a battery tender up front, which goes directly into my battery. I carry with me the Harley-Davidson air pump here that you're going to plug in up here. This allows you to turn on the bike. The reason I did this is there is a battery tender on all of our bikes that are in the back here on the left-hand side, but as soon as you turn this ignition on, it kills any power going to the area of the bike. So then you can't use your pump. You can't run your bike and be plugged in back here. So what I did was I wired it in up here in the front to where I can turn the bike on and I can run my pump back and have the bike running, so I don't have to worry about a dead battery and not have another obstacle of what I'm trying to overcome in the woods. So I always carry my tire pump here, which is a Harley-Davidson tire pump. And to save time, I'm not gonna actually plug it, but we would plug it in, run it back here. I would plug it into my bike, and then I can go back and start packing up my tool roll and whatever else I've got. But I've got the Harley-Davidson pump. We'll go over that. That's the Cruise tool kit. And then having a tire plug kit, which I've just kind of put together my own. I bought a kit online and put it all in here, a set of pliers, all the plugs and everything. I don't keep this in my bike because I don't want my plugs to dry out. So when I go home, I put this in my garage, and when I'm going on a trip or ride, I'll throw it into my bag here. So these are some of the main things I carry. It's my pump, my tire plug kit with pliers and everything needed, a jump box that we carry, not necessarily hoping I don't need it. It's there if we need it. It also charges other devices as well too. Let's say I get out and I the night before I forgot to charge my Garmin, and we're out on a ride and we're gonna sit here and take a 30, 40 minute break, I can sit there and plug my Garmin in on my inReach. My Garmin that's on my bike is hardwired in, but that way I can charge. So it has other functions of being able to charge phones, whatever else you got. So I carry that, my toolkit that we're gonna go over. He already went over a tourniquet, carry my tourniquet, and then another really useful thing to carry is a ratchet strap. And there's a lot of different things you can use this for. We've used this to help tie to an engine guard to help pull a guy up a hill. I also have a tow strap over on the left side of my bike over here. That's more advanced, but we do train on towing in our level 1 and level 2 training that we offer through the dealership here. We run that, we've got 4 classes a year for level 1 and level 2. We run that up in Tellico. Zeke Sikich is the trainer on that. He's out of Dart, out of Oklahoma City. If you know who Dart and Bill Dragoo and his program, it's a phenomenal training program. But he does go over towing and all that, but we also use the tow strap for that. So we pull it out, we plug it, okay? We all think, I mean, our tires are tubeless, okay? So we don't have to worry about a tube. You know, in some conditions, I mean, I've seen guys take their tires off, dismount their tire, put a tube in it because it was ripped. And some of them I've even seen videos of Bill had to sew his tire because it was ripped so bad, but that's what you would carry a tube for. That's a whole nother story, but plugging it. I've actually had to do this. We were on a run with the motor company and we came up on a big tree had fallen, so we had to cut around. Well, where we cut around, there was the barbed wire fence that none of us saw. And I was the one that discovered it, and I had 3 holes in my tire. Didn't know this, so I get running, my tire light comes on, I look down, I'm like, that's odd, I'm 8 pounds. Pull over, check it, can't see anything, put air in it, go back running again, it keeps going down. Ended up finding one of them, plug it, air it up, go back out, just keeps doing it again. I had found 2 more after that. The third one, I got so aggravated that I found a creek. I backed it into a creek and sat there and turned it until I could find, to make sure there was no more, I didn't have to do this a 4th and a 5th time. But I had torn it 3 different times and didn't know it. Long story short, we were able to keep the ride going that day. Sean didn't keep us held up to where we're having to call someone in here, send someone out to go get what we needed. I had what I needed to be able to plug the tire. So simple enough as it seems, but it's something that you need to be able to keep the day going. So there's the tire plugs. Anybody have any questions or input on that? Pretty simple, but some things we don't think about, like I said, like the battery thing, being able to run the bike and charge it. Because like I said, you plug in back here, you can't turn the bike on and these little pumps, it takes a minute, man. If you're down to 8 pounds like I was, 4 pounds, that's gonna take a couple minutes to pump it up to get it at least in the 20-25 range of where you wanna be. We keep ours, I think 34, 35 is where the owner's manual recommends you to do it. So, okay, so then what we are gonna do is, and this takes a little time, but if you come over here and see my chain, we get asked a lot of times is chain maintenance because we're not used to having a chain on all of our other bikes. This is the first one we've had in a long time that comes from the factory. Okay, and my chain is super loose. So I've got a few aftermarket things on my bike, but we're gonna need to adjust it. And has anybody read the owner's manual and know at how many miles they need to be adjusting their chain? Every 600 is what the owner's manual recommends. So, are you gonna come into the dealership every 600 miles? Which we will gladly do it for you. Or are you going to know how to adjust your chain? So all the specials come with the center stands. And what I'm taking off here, this is the Wonderlic axle guards. This doesn't come factory on your bike. It's just a 10 millimeter that takes that guy off. And that's just protecting my axles from getting gunked up in there. But this is a cruise toolkit that we sell here. Over the last 2 years or so, 2.5 years, I've been piecing together my own kit. I've talked about this in previous classes, but this has everything you need in it in a much smaller condensed version. So let's say you need to do this I'm just showing you with the toolkit that I have. This is much easier in your garage And normally I'd have a rotor and I can have someone holding the brake for me. But you're going to loosen up your, where is your rear axle, okay? And like I said, it's easier at home because you've got bigger tools, but we're going to loosen this guy. It does have a clip on it over here, but we're not going to need to remove that because we're not taking it all the way out. Okay, and I don't fully loosen it. I just loosen it to where it's just a little bit snug to where I can pull back on it. Okay, and what you want is, with a measuring tape, you're going to want 2 inches, 2 inches of travel when it's on the center stand. So I'm going to loosen this up just a little bit more. Okay, so I'm going to pull it all the way, and we're way snug there. I'm going to get it close. Okay, and then you need I believe it's a 12 millimeter or 13 millimeter. Okay, so we're going to get it close, and we're going to snug up our axle back up. Yeah. And what you want is both of your adjusters to be equal. So they should have been equal from the beginning, and right now I'm showing a little bit longer on my right side here, so I'm going to get it back to where it's equal looking. So you're straight. Okay, and then are we about 2 inches? A little bit more. And then we can fine tune it from there. Tighten that guy back up. Okay, we're going to adjust these down to where they're touching. And you can eyeball looking at the adjusters on each side. And it's a simple check, y'all, so you're not having to do this every time, but you can put it on the center stand and feel how loose it is pretty easily. And that's just I've learned it as I've gone type deal. But you have these adjusters on each side. We're just going to snug up. And I'm not going to fine tune it exactly because it takes time, but you'd want these to be exact the same. Okay, and let's just say that for time purposes, we've got the adjustment right. We're still a little bit loose there. I'm not tightened all the way, but you're going to count. So I put mine at the 3 o'clock and I go to the 6 for 1. I call that 1, and I'm going from 9 to 12, and I count that as 1, so that I keep my splines the same on each side. And now that I've just got it snugged, I can sit there and fine tune it to where it needs to be right when you've got 2 inches. If you have a measuring tape, that's the best way to do it, and hold a measuring tape up to it, and you should have 2 inches of travel from where it sits here to where it should be. And we're pretty close there. If I was really fine tuning it, I would probably tune it up just a little bit more past that. Okay, so then you've got these tightened up where they need to be. And then you're going to snug back up your 36 millimeter on your axle nut. I think the owner's manual calls for 90 to 110 foot-pounds of torque. Guys, when it's 110 foot-pounds of torque and you're out in the woods trying to break this thing down, it's a lot of work. And you're not going to do it on the center stand. You're going to do it on the side stand, probably someone's foot on the rear brake, keeping that from keeping it steady. So, does anybody have any questions on that? No? Again, this is just simple maintenance. Normally you're not doing this out on the trail. Sometimes you need to, because you gotta dismount the rear. But like I said, the owner's manual says every 600 miles. I probably do mine a little bit more frequently than that just because we're out hitting more stuff off-road that causes the adjustment to get out. I clean my chain regularly. That's another thing, is cleaning our chain. I see so many of these Pan Americas coming in that haven't been cleaned in ages, and we carry this cleaner and wax here. So what I do when I get home from every ride that I'm covered up like this, I'll put it neutral, center stand it, and I'll spray it with the clean. Okay, and I'll do it in my garage. I put a piece of cardboard underneath, and I just sit there and spray, turn, get it all the way around. You can see it saturated. You see all your dirt and everything just dripping off. And then I use our brush, and I'll sit there and spin the wheel, holding the brush. Pretty simple. And then I grab a towel, again, holding the chain, not with the bike on, holding the chain. I've seen videos where guys are shortcutting it and they'll put it in gear, and I've seen disasters on that. I don't do mine that way. I'm not to that level. I hold it, I clean it with the rag, get all that off, let it dry, go grab a beer, whatever you're gonna do, let it dry for a minute, and then come back and the same thing with the wax. Turn, spray, turn, spray, and you're done. It literally, when you get it down less than 10 minutes to clean the chain, then you're not that guy that's out on the road or trail, broke down with a rusted out chain that everybody's looking at saying, you hadn't touched that thing in ages, have you? See ya, we're leaving you. All right, more in depth is getting to our breather. Has anybody had to do that yet or messed with it? Yeah? A lot of times this builds value in what we do here at the dealership and what we charge, and obviously I have mine set up with different bags and whatnot, but when people watch this and what it takes, now I'm not as quick as my guys are back here. They're master technicians that have ways of doing things quicker than I can. But just so you guys can see the steps, it's not gonna be quick or fluid by any means, but you can watch me go through the struggle of taking it off. Sometimes you need to when you're on the trail, or you're after a ride and you wanna check your air breather because it's been a dusty ride. I mean, the ride that we went on last with you guys, I mean, that thing was it hadn't rained up there in over a month. We rode in dust all day.
It was dusty.
Yeah. Did you check your breather when you got home?
I just had the first service on it, so I'll let them do it.
Well, that's awesome. So I'm gonna show everybody kind of a trick. So what we're gonna show you is taking it off, which takes time. But you got one of these at the house, a borescope. Okay, it probably just gonna take me 30, 45 minutes to take this thing off right and go through it, right? We don't need to do that every time. Okay, so you can borescope. So something simple that our technicians learned as they were learning these bikes. When we get there, you'll see, but your breather is underneath, okay? And you've got a tube right here. So if you get a borescope, you don't have to take it all apart, and you can put it up in there, and I can see that this breather is clean. I can see that it's brand new. We literally just cleaned it, okay? But that right there cuts what we're about to do down to nothing. This is taking 30 seconds. This is gonna take me 35, 40 minutes to go this other route. But let's say you get it up in there and look at it and it's dirty. Now we gotta take it apart. So we need to know how to do that. So a borescope is awesome on saving time. Huh?
How much are those?
Well, that's a Snap-on. I think he told me that was $800 and something dollars. But you can get them on Amazon. They go on your phone.
Yeah.
That are, I don't know how much, if you do, a couple hundred. So I've got the Moscow bag that I have to take off to be able to get my seat off. Okay. All right, here we go. How many people have more than one 10 millimeter at the house? Yeah, my cool toolkit that I put together, I had 3, just because it seems like we always lose our 10 millimeters. You've got one here that holds the tank. Again, I'm just using my, huh? That what? No. Again, I'm using these little small tools that, I'm using out this toolkit just so you guys can see. And that's what I do when I was putting together my toolkit. I would do a job and then I'm like, oh, I didn't have, you know, this with me. I didn't have a 12 millimeter or a 13 millimeter. And then I learned what I needed. This toolkit has everything in it. And so I try to do my jobs to make sure what I might need to do, I'm able to do with the kit that I've got. All right, and then you've got a 10 millimeter. Get to this. You got two 10 millimeters that go up underneath. Last time I had a technician do this for us. Now I remember why. But I wanted to show y'all that I've had to learn how to do it myself. Like I said, they do it a heck of a lot quicker and smoother, but at the end of the day, we need to know how to do some simple maintenance on our bikes. Okay, so you've got one long bolt there and another one on the other side. I've got the Givy crash bars on my bike, which is just an upgrade over stock. The stock bars are great. The Givy just offers a little bit more protection. On my left side there, you can see where there's a big gnarly scratch on that bend towards the back, where if I didn't have it, I would have crushed my coolant line. All right, so the tank's loose now with those 2 or 3 bolts removed. You've got a connector underneath the middle and then your fuel line as well. So what I do, actually I need to disconnect the fuel line. So the fuel line, you just will pull it apart and it'll separate. A little bit of fuel might drop out. So you push it towards the bike and it just pops right out. Not very much fuel comes out. It's got a valve. It's hard to see, but if you want to look at it while I've got it disconnected, you can see how the release valve comes apart there. That now will allow me to find this guy. It disconnects. So you've got this connector right here. I know it's hard to see, but you'll know when you're sitting there trying to tug on it, you can't get it up. There's something in there. But you've got the connector for the fuel pump right there, okay? And
one eternity later.
Good. Everybody see how the boroscope's a little bit easier? And now we got to our breather. From there, you're gonna loosen your bolts. Your breather's gonna be underneath there. No need to open that up and show you, but.
How many connectors? You have 3?
What's that?
How many connectors?
Yeah, so you had one connector underneath here. You can see the one that I fought with over here. Which, this right here, let me show you everybody what I was fighting with. It's hard to get to, but he had a flathead and pushed this little pin.
It goes in.
Yeah, and he just pushed his flathead right there and popped that out. That's what was holding me up. So, I need to get a flathead to pop it back out. Then you just undo your, I think there's 10 or 12 bolts around there. That comes off, and there's you've exposed your breather at that point. And you take it off, clean it, dry it.
Just pop out at the worst time too.
So we wonder why our services take so long sometimes. Like I said, they're more fluid than I was on that. Still, it takes time.
Oh, yeah.
Take it apart, adjust the chain, drop the fluid. One thing to know if you are doing a service or question where you have it serviced is you drain the oil on the side stand. You know, the old way all of our other Harleys, we pull it in on the lift, we strap it down, it's standing straight up, and then you drain the fluid. This oil, you can't get it all out that way. So then you go and fill it up for what the recommendation is, and you're over full. You're like, what the heck? I did exactly what it said. Well, you didn't read the part where it said side stand. Yeah, side stand.
The nice thing about it is most containers you're going to drain into won't fit underneath your
Where the center,
the center stand.
Yeah, center stand. Doesn't happen at home as much as it does at a shop, because we pull it in. It's got a chalk that you pull into.
Can you lock the suspension up? Can you lock the suspension up when you're...
Yeah, I can show you how. So to lock your suspension up, if you have adaptive ride height and the bike's off, and let's say you're not on a center stand, you can sit there and hold your brake and pump the bike back and forth. Just push the brake, and it's going to pump that suspension. It's like if you put it tie it down on a trailer, and you strap it all down, and then you pop those. It pops up because you got that suspension all the way tight, and that's not how you should be strapping it, anyways.
Well, on the strapping, we found out that because I had my trailer.
Yeah.
When I got the mechanic that was at the dealership, he said, "Do not strap it on the stands." He says, "Any of the stands.
On the stands?
Do not leave it on the stand. Not strap it on the side or the
Oh no.
stand.
Yeah, no.
Because it'll crack the."
Yeah, I don't use any of those stands. I have mine standing straight up, and then I strap down off the lower forks where I'm not pulling the suspension down. And that's a whole nother thing we can go into. But does anybody have any questions on taking the tank off, getting to the breather? No. It's some work to it, but.
How dirty was your filter after that?
What's that?
How dirty was your filter after we rode?
It wasn't too bad. I have that plate on the front there that I put on there, and it kept a lot of that out.
So that works.
It works great. Yeah, since I've been putting it on there, I've cut my cleanings down in half probably. It's just a plate on the front there that my buddy Tim Fowler made for me.
What's it made out of? Is that...
Just some plastic he had, yeah.
Might be able to do a rubber plate.
My guys are wanting to duplicate this and have these to be able to help people out with.
Does it cut the airflow down?
No. We don't need ram air. You know, they have this design where it's like a ram air, and we don't need it. I mean, we could find a way to somehow direct the air coming, because a lot of like your KTMs and everything are underneath the seat back here in the back, because you don't need ram air. You just need air.
Okay.
It just needs to be able to suck air. So you put that in the front there, it's fully open all the way around the sides of it.
Right.
It just keeps all that big debris from going in it.
Coming from
just going right in it. And it'll keep it out, but let's say you're barreling into a creek, that water rushes up in there. It's gonna keep most of it out, but you just run that chance.
I love that. Yeah.
So I do a lot of river crossings. It's just dirty, yeah. Need to clean it.
Does this have a dipstick oil sight gauge?
A what?
Have you checked the oil?
The oil on the left side over here. So, yep. Anybody got any questions? Well, that's what we have to cover for our second seminar. Hopefully y'all picked up on something or learned something, or hey, we need to go home and practice this or look at this on ours type thing, or now I know why I pay the service department to do what they do, and understand why you pay what you pay to get it done. Our guys are trained. We're paying them for their expertise to do it quick and get it done right.
I have a screw, I noticed the other day backed out on mine, right there.
Yeah, so I checking screws all the time, man.
Lock ties.
Man, I was watching a BDR, which is, I don't know if you're familiar with the BDRs, backland discovery routes, and they were on this really, really gnarly trail, and they were bouncing and getting, and they were talking, they all had their cams on, they got there and they're talking, and at the end of the day, everybody, the BMW guys, the KTM guys, they're all sitting there going around their bike checking fasteners, and they talk about that at the end. They're like, it's not one particular bike, it's their screws. No matter how much Loctite and what you do, when you go hit these bouncy, trails for long periods of time, like they were doing, they had what they needed to go back through and check critical fasteners. It's going to happen. It's a screw. Whether it's a Harley or a KTM or BMW or whatever you have. All right, thank you guys for coming out. That was our second seminar of 3 that we do here at White Lightning Harley-Davidson. You saw what we went over. You see what we need to be ready for and have prepared in our bags as well too. Hopefully that helped you out a little bit. We're always here. We've got a crew from service department to sales to motor clothes to parts. To myself, it's always here to help you out with anything having to do with any bike, but Pan America we're very passionate about. So I appreciate everyone that has come out and has watched this online. Share it, like it, do what you do online. We appreciate y'all. Thank you. See you next time.